Welcome to season 3, episode 8 of the Subway Conversation Chat. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy, ready to talk some New York Yankees and Mets baseball with you all and my co-host, Joe Dallio. So without any further ado, here's Joe. Hey, Joe. So how's it going?
It is going great, Jamie. How you doing tonight?
I'm good.
All right.
We talked about a lot of things backstage, didn't we?
We did. A lot of good stuff, some related to baseball, some not, but there's a lot of great sports going on right now between hockey. I'm repping my basketball team that's going now that I hope can at least get to the finals here. And again, our baseball teams are doing a little bit better here, and I think we have a little bit more positive news to share for fans of Mets and Yankees on tonight's show. So we look forward to getting into it.
Yep. So anyway, Joe, I'm going to start out this week with the Yankees injury report. Are you down with that?
I think it's your turn, Jamie. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to start out with right-handed pitcher and ace, Gerrit Cole. He is recuperating from Tommy John surgery. Cole made his 6th rehab start on May 16th for the AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. He threw 86 pitches, striking out 6 batters over 5 1/3 innings. While this was Cole's first time starting in AAA, the righty averaged 97 miles per hour with his fastball, so he didn't lose any velocity, which is good, showing that he hasn't lost confidence in his arm. But guess what, though, Joe, you're actually not going to believe this. There were 2 pitches where he gained velocity. He threw 99, and guess what? He actually threw 100 on one of his pitches, and I can't remember if that may have been the first time ever in his career that he's thrown 100, Gerrit Cole.
Well, then if you're the rest of Major League Baseball, I got 2 words. Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Yeah, but think about it. After having Tommy John surgery, he throws 99 and 100. He gained velocity there. That's interesting.
That's what the crazy part is, and that's why I'm saying uh-oh, because if he's doing this after Tommy John,
yeah,
I mean, God, sky's the limit. Look out.
Well, remember, he's doing that over the hand, over the head throw. I wonder if that's helping him gain more velocity too. I don't know.
Very possible.
And like I said, say that with Carlos Rodon, he's gained velocity even after his injury. He's back up to 95, 96. So that's amazing. These pitchers can have surgery and they gain velocity. That's weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, he will. While this was cool, okay, which he did in his pitch arm, and I said he will have one more pitching in the minor league before returning to major league, and his expected return late May.
And that's ahead of schedule, isn't it?
Late May, early June. It's about, I think it is.
Okay, because I thought we were talking like mid-June, late June, even into July at first. So if he's coming back even in May, I mean, I think that's incredible.
Yep. Anyway, but we have a new addition on, unfortunately, I can't believe I'm saying unfortunately because nobody should really feel bad though with the Yankees pitching. But left-handed pitcher Max Fried has a left elbow bone bruise, and thank God it's nothing more than that. So anyway, Fried left the game last Wednesday in Baltimore after throwing 61 pitches in a 7-0 loss. He will be absent from throwing for a few weeks as team doctors spoke on treatment and diagnosis, as he will have future testing done. He's on the 15-day disabled list, but his expected return date is TBD, to be decided. Number 3 is also, I'm a Sabres fan, but I'm going to do this anyway, as painfully and annoying this could be. Jose Caballero, shortstop with a fractured right middle finger. Caballero endured his injury while driving back into first base in the 9th inning off the Yankees' 4-3 loss to Milwaukee on May 10th. He had MRI. He had an MRI, on May 12th that showed a small fracture close to the middle of his finger. Should miss the required 10-day minimum IL, and Caballero promised to be ready by May 22nd. His expected return late May. Now let's turn it over to Joe for some Mets news. Joe.
All right. So again, things are looking up here, and people might notice a little bit of a change of tune, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with wins, although certainly good to see that those wins have increased. But it's a change of heart. Now, I'll explain this as I go along. But I'm going to give good news and bad news as far as the injury report, which I'm going to start with the injuries first. Now, the bad news is the Mets are facing some significant injuries. The good news is the Mets are facing some significant injuries. Now, let me tell you what I'm not saying there, and let me tell you what I am saying there. Now, I am not saying that I'm happy that that guys are getting hurt. You don't want to see anybody get injured, and again, I'm not saying, wow, I'm glad this guy got hurt. That is not the case. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying here is it's kind of forced the Mets to dig a little bit deep and to dig into some depth, and especially minor league depth. And all of a sudden, the Mets have gone from a bunch of overburdening, overpaid, injury-prone veterans to a youth injection here. And with the youth injection comes an energy injection. And it's kind of breathed some life into this team. Now, if you've watched this podcast regularly, you know that I complain about the lack of heart that the Mets show and how, it's very painful to watch. And win or lose, I can't watch a heartless team. And now it's like the tune is changing a little bit because there's a pulse all of a sudden. And again, and they're winning. With that. Now, again, this is the type of team, and again, some energetic youth here, the type of team that I would watch win or lose. But the cool thing is they are winning, and I'll dig into some of those stats in a little bit. But let's just dig a little bit as far as what these injuries. Now, of course, the most significant one still Francisco Lindor, and not making much progress. And I don't really like the way the Mets are keeping things hush-hush. I don't feel like they're being totally upfront with us as far as what's going on with Lindor. He's still got the left calf strain. He's going through some weight room and strengthening parts now of his rehab. But again, Carlos Mendoza is keeping exact details kind of secretive here. Team leaders, from what I read, quote, have hope for a return in about a month from now, like mid to late June. So again, I don't like the way they're keeping things hush-hush. I mean, is there something more there? Is there a more significant calf injury? Are we digging into the Achilles? I mean, what's going on? And they're being kind of secretive of that right now. Now, as far as the most unfortunate injury here, Clay Holmes, pitching really well, one of the top starters for the Mets, takes 111-mile-an-hour line drive off the leg. And what does that equal? That equals broken leg. So I didn't even see the highlight of it yet. But again, 111 miles an hour, that's a hard hit ball. And, to crack the leg, I don't know what the extent of the injury is. Now they're saying it's 6 to 8 weeks before he can even start any training at all. They're estimating about an August now return for Clay Holmes, which is such a shame because, again, he was pitching so well, and just an unfortunate way to get hurt there too. Now, as far as other players that were playing really well, Francisco Alvarez, who was just smacking the ball all season, finally gets healthy. And again, we see what happens when he gets healthy and how well he's hitting the ball. Well, he had a torn meniscus in the right knee, and he had to have surgery for that. He's expected to be sidelined for about 2 months. So again, we're talking, probably late June, early July here. excuse me, as far as that. Maybe they're being a little optimistic, saying mid-June and maybe only like 5 weeks, but they're saying as much as 8. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, other guys, again, here's the dead weight. No offense. Jorge Polanco, injury prone before they got him, injury prone now that they've got him. They have no timetable for his return. Same with Luis Robert Jr., injury prone, overpaid. He was doing all right with the Mets when he was in the lineup, but again, his the absence though, and Polanco's absence is making room for some of these younger guys, which I'll talk about in a second. Now, Kodai Senga also having spine issues. They're targeting a June return at some point. We'll see what happens with that. But again, here's some moves. Now, last week we had talked about a prospect, AJ Ewing, who I believe is a number 1 prospect, still considered the number 1 prospect. He hasn't, played enough, but doing very well. And again, injecting a lot of youth and energy into the lineup, with a home run, a couple RBIs, like 800, OPS. So definitely making an impact in the Mets lineup here. And, also, other guys that they're bringing in, a guy named Nick Morabito, who's actually a little bit lower in the prospects chart. He's like the 10 or 11 ranked prospect for the Mets. But he's 23 years old. He was playing at Syracuse. Now, the report that I read on him is that he's known for his game-changing speed and elite outfield defense. Okay, so how about this rookie outfield that the Mets could potentially have with AJ Ewing, Nick Morabito, and Carson Benj, who started the season with the team and started really slow, but has really been hitting the ball well lately. So this, again, rookie outfield has really added some energy into the lineup. And I think it's having an effect on some of the veterans too. I'll share some information about that when I get to the statistical end of my analysis here. But, really, I think it's added some energy that again, the older guys and, even people like Lindor here, again, that I said a week or two ago, just, I don't know. It seems like he doesn't feel like leading this team. And again, it's hard to do when you're injured, and maybe I'm being a little overcritical, but he was doing nothing for this team, both on the field and off the field. And so now, again, you got some guys that maybe not leading per se with veteran leadership, but again, infusing some heart and energy that was definitely lacking in this team. So that is, definitely, again, some room for optimism. And again, I'll share the statistical end of it in a little bit. But I'm going to send it back to you for some Yankees news and quotes and updates, and perhaps some young minor league energy and being infused into them as well. So I'm going to send it back to you, Jamie.
Yeah. And Joe, what's funny? I'll tell you what may have started that, having, what allowed you to be able to start playing more young guys along with the bloated payroll, getting rid of Pete Alonso. You wouldn't have been able to do that had you kept him, because remember, he was making $300 million along with Soto, and that was crippling a lot of their prospects last year from being able to play last year. They got rid of him, dumped his salary. He goes to Baltimore, and you still have Soto, but at least you ate up his salary for younger guys to be able to play and build more of a younger core around Soto, which was
that's a very good point. Now, a lot of Mets fans, and I keep reading about this, are very upset. As Alonso starts to play a little bit better, a lot of Mets fans are like, guys, we could have had this guy. And, they're upset that they got rid of him. And again, I admit I was one of them, not so much for the on the field factor, but again, that leadership factor that is so lacking with this team. And I thought, wow, Alonso could have been a great leader for this. But you look at it on the other side, and I think what you say makes perfect sense. Is the fact that again, yeah, maybe he would be a strong asset to have, but his absence might actually have a more positive impact on this team and gives these guys a chance. So, that's a really good point.
It puts the pressure on them to play more team ball around Soto. That's the difference.
Right. And Soto's certainly, leading with his bat. But again, he kind of lacks that, captaincy leadership type thing. But
yeah,
we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But yeah, that's a very good point.
So anyway, I'll go to the Yankees, but this is a minor league call up, but it's not really going to inject any energy because it's a guy that they really don't need, and I think this might be his last hurrah before maybe he gets traded at the deadline. But the good news is it's going to be his last hurrah, because once he's gone, somebody named George Lombard Jr. is going to might take his spot, which is a good thing. And you know who I'm talking about. The next 9 days for none other than Anthony Volpe may be the last in his career. But somebody may pick, I don't think his whole baseball career is going to be over because I think maybe as a Yankee, I think somebody else may pick him up.
I'd be surprised if nobody picked him up. I think he'll get picked up somewhere. I mean, he's a good player, maybe not the player that the Yankees thought he was going to be, but I think somebody
started out good his rookie year. He won the Gold Glove, and he just hasn't been the same.
Right.
And don't forget, when he's on the bases, he's fast as you know what, too.
Yeah.
So and you can't coach that speed either. As much as he's bad as bad as he is hitting, you can't coach that type of speed. But
True.
Anyway, Volpe earlier in the week received a lifeline after he was somehow promoted from AAA, Scranton Wilkes-Barre, to the Yankees due to Jose Caballero being placed on the 10-day IL. Volpe watched Max Schumann. He's a rookie that they had in AAA. They called him up, if you're wondering, Joe. He started as shortstop in his first game back, but will still have a small window to play, as Caballero told reporters that he doesn't expect it to be sidelined for more than the minimum. It's easy to see why Boone has clarified that it's still Caballero's job to lose. It hasn't been perfect for the 29-year-old infielder, but he's overperforming by hitting .259, which is actually above the league average nowadays. So with a 720 OPS, that's respectable. And,
right.
With 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases. I love that 13 stolen bases. That's good. Since, that's kind of coming back now with the bigger bases and everything.
Yes, and it's great to see.
Yep. And with Boone and Caballero basically on the same page, it would appear that Volpe is on borrowed time. Yep. It starts Wednesday night versus the Baltimore Orioles to see how Volpe's future will be, for better or worse. In a parallel universe, okay, here we go, Joe. Volpe starts raking at the batter's box, and his defense returns to his 2023 Gold Glove year, and it makes it impossible for Boone to put Cabby in, okay? But this is a parallel universe. Remember that. This isn't reality. But now we go back to our current universe. Actions speak louder than words. And Volpe, even though, like I said, he's a good kid, he loves the Yankees, he says all the right things in the media, it just hasn't produced in results. So Joe, how do you think Yankees fans will react when Volpe comes up to the batter's box tomorrow night at Yankee Stadium? Do you think they boo him because he's back on the team, or what do you think?
It's a good question. I hope not, because he's done a lot of great things. And, I think he's not going to prevent the Yankees from, making the moves that they need to make. I think you're right. I mean, I think he's on borrowed time. And I think most Yankee fans know that. I think it might be different if he impeded the progress of some of these younger players. But I don't think the Yankees are going to cause that to happen. So, and I think fans are smart enough to know that. So I don't think they would give him too much of a negative reaction. I don't think they should, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And how could Volpe just stay loose and try not to get very tight and start swinging at every single pitch, just do it.
Go out and be yourself. He's still a good player, and just go out there, have fun, and not worry about the other things that could be happening and that have happened. Just go out and play your game, and just let things happen as they may.
Yeah, and he's that type of kid. He's humble, he don't really care about the outside noise. He's just, and like I said, he says all the right things, and that's who he's going to continue to be even in this situation.
Right. Just focus on the now and focus on this universe, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And, again, just go out there and play and have fun.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to come to another show, another interesting news story. Joe, I think this is overreaction, and I think this is too soon to say this, but look at this. Mm-hmm. Do the Yankees have a problem with Austin Wells at catcher? I think that's a little overreaction because, like I said, his batting hasn't been that great, but he's still really, really good at, being a catcher, like throwing people out. And he's probably they said he's like one of the best in the league at framing pitches, for strikes. It's just, I think they're overreacting because of his batting average, but I mean, that's the thing. He's still a good catcher, per se. So, right. It's only May, but the Yankees have run into a little bit of a drought through this merry, merry month. The Bronx Bombers have scored just 4 runs in their past 6 games before the Subway Series. Yankees fans do have hope that manager Aaron Boone will make changes to their catching lineup. Their offensive production from Austin Wells and backup JC Uber driver Esquera have been inconsistent and much to the ire of the fans and the team. Okay. Wells never has had a powerful bat, although he can rake the bat, though he does hit home runs. He's shown he can do it. But in the past, it's been functional for him to even be the starting catcher, especially when he was learning under Jose Trevino, and he's not there anymore. So lately, however, the 26-year-old is in the middle of a dreadful performance, perhaps the worst of his young career. And people got to remember, this is still only his 3rd season, his 2nd full season as a starting catcher. So he's got time to still, turn it around.
Right.
Yeah. There is a silver lining, though, as defensively, he's still throwing people out and framing the pitches better than most catchers in the MLB. As just like I said, Wells has the 4th most catcher framing runs, 3 among 58 qualified players this season per Baseball Sunday, as well as a .997 field percentage and American League best 283 putouts. But with his great defense, his poor offensive showings overshadow that. Right now they do, at least. In 100 at-bats, Wells is only batting 180 with a career worst 588 OPS and only has 2 hits in his last 21 at-bats. Good for only an 0.95 batting average. But, Joe, he didn't buy the team, right?
Right. Right.
As for Esquera, he showed promise to start out 2026, and fans actually wanted his role to expand and possibly challenge Wells for the starting job. Yeah, that was actually a talking point at one point. But fast forward to mid-May, and the 31-year-old catcher has already lost his momentum. Escara only has 2 hits, in his last 6 games, which equals 16 at-bats, batting a woeful 125 and a 410 OPS. But we hope that he will get out of this slump, as his poor swing shows he should just stay a backup catcher for now. Escara has hit against southpaws well, but neither he nor Wells have been hitting off righties. While the 2026 MLB trade deadline is August 3rd, the Yankees should start looking for a catcher now, as the market is expensive. Mm-hmm. The Cleveland Guardians, or the Indians, I can't believe we're saying Guardians.
Yeah, I won't say it.
Yep. Already acquired 2-time Gold Glove winner Patrick Bailey from the San Francisco Giants last week. Then there's Twins catcher Ryan Jeffers, who is batting .294 with 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, and a career best 160 OPS plus in 33 games this season, and could be on the move with the Twins playing sub-500 baseball and obviously looking to be sellers. Then there's Dalton Rushing, who is one of the top offensive catchers in the league. But guess what? The Dodgers might not have any long-term plans with them, with Will Smith having a unanimous starting job. He's getting jiggy with it before the middle of summertime. The Astros, Yasser Diaz just became more likely than before. So, Joe, what do you think of both Wells and Escara struggling to produce offense as catchers, but they're both doing really well defensively?
Yeah, you know what I like to look at too, and in fact, I'm going to share some of these stats, with some Mets players here, is, some of these StatCasts things, and it's a good indicator of where a player is, but where they could be based on how they're hitting the ball. And Austin Wells' StatCast stats aren't exactly eye-popping, but they're better than it shows. For example, what is he hitting, about 170 or something right now?
180, you said, yeah.
180, yeah. So, and his expected batting average based on, the way he hits the ball and hard hit and all that is around 217. I'm looking at right here. I was looking it up as you were saying it. Same with his, the WOBA stat is a very complete offensive stat. He's at like 258 with that right now. And his expected stats based on he's hitting the ball is a little over 300. So what that tells me is, he's making decent contact, but, he's just not getting the results. So again, it's not like he's, I'm going to talk about some Mets players in a little bit that really should be hitting better than they are because of how hard they're hitting the ball. And I can't exactly say that about Austin Wells, but I think he deserves better results than he actually has. So I think you could be a little patient with him, especially if he continues to, to excel behind the plate and work well with these work well with these pitchers. I don't know enough about the other one you were talking about there. But again, Austin Wells has proven himself. And again, as I look at some of his stats here, they don't appear as bad as they actually are right now. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. And you might see, him regress a little bit closer to the mean, closer to where, a little bit more production like he has in the past. So keep an eye on that because, again, those stats are showing that he's making decent contact. And, you may see some better results coming up soon.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's not like he's striking out on every pitch too. He's at least hitting the ball and putting it in play, or
right.
He's hitting home runs too.
Right, and again, eventually those are gonna equal out.
Mm-hmm. And what should or let's see why should they already give up on Wells when he's totally capable of getting out of this slump? I don't think they should give up on him early like that.
No, and for the reasons I just mentioned, and you mentioned too, that he's doing a great job behind the plate, and B, again, it doesn't seem he's that far off from having some productive time here. So I'd say definitely don't give up on him at this point.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, Joe. I know everybody complains about baseball averages, batting averages being down and everything, but I don't think they tell the whole story, though. Like I said, the reason why the batting averages are down now, too, is, like I said, every pitcher you're facing now every night is throwing 96, 97. So which means that you're gonna be enticed to want to hit home runs more, which may lead to striking out or hitting the ball and for outs, and that's the thing. So
right,
yeah. And don't forget, the ballpark dimensions are moved out further now in every single park because they're all trying to be like Yankee Stadium to want to have more home runs.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's another thing too. Anyway, we have another one. Is Will Warren a better option over Ryan Weathers? I'll get into that. It's without a doubt the Yankees. I'm gonna use a hyperbole, Joe, but it's true. They could supply a whole MLB league full of starting pitchers and relievers and minor league pitchers too. They got a whole den barn of pitchers there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
With Garrett Cole expected to return. Yeah, with Garrett Cole. With Garrett Cole expected to return, both Will Warren and Ryan Weathers are in the discussion for the final spot in the starting rotation. Warren may have not had as sparkling of a pitcher's line as Weathers, who took a no-hitter into the 7th inning and posted 9 strikeouts, but he showed a level of maturity with how poised he looked after having a grotesque last outing. Warren only went 4 innings against the Rangers, and he allowed 6 earned runs and 2 homers. He still had 7 strikeouts, but the line against the O's was improved. He went 5 2/3 innings and only permitted 2 earned runs on 4 hits. He struck out 6 and only allowed 1 walk. After such a performance, it's becoming increasingly obvious that the advantage has to go to Warren over Weathers. Although Weathers pitched last night, went about 5 2/3 innings. The fact, and it's guess what, Warren over Weathers or Weathers over Warren. Anyway, the fact that Warren bounced back shows that he has put his 2025 season behind. Rather than having a snowball effect against the Orioles, he looked like the poster child of dependability that he's been all year. Also, Warren probably could have pitched deeper into the game were it not for some defensive gaffes behind him. That 3rd inning could have easily been a nightmare. Warren, though, has never flinched. Once Cole comes back, it will be interesting to see how the Yankees handle Weathers. They want to increase his workload from when he had 38 1/3 innings last year due to injury. It would be the opposite thing to do by sending him into the bullpen, although I think they should do that because that's why they got him. They traded him for 4 minor league prospects who nobody even heard of, and they weren't even ready for a serviceable pitcher who throws 97, 98 and can be a starter and then go into the bullpen once everybody comes back. So it looks like on paper trading for Weathers was a good trade in terms of that. So
I agree.
But also the Yankees could either option Weathers. I would not do that because that means somebody will pick him up, I think, down in the minors. or do a 6-man rotation. We talked about it, Joe. They did a 4-man rotation at the beginning of the year. Now that everybody's healthy, they could do a 6-man rotation with Weathers. And so this way, and Max Fried will still have time to heal when he returns from the 15-day IL. So, Joe, how lucky are the Yankees that even when something happens to one pitcher, they still end up having too many?
Depth. It's called depth, and if that one pitcher struggles, they just need to weather the storm, and they can move on and depend on so many other people. I mean, it's just amazing the pitching depth that this team has, not only at the major league level, but at the minor league level as well. So that is just it's a great problem to have to make these decisions and have so many amazing pitchers that you got some difficult decisions to make here. But don't give up on people like this just yet. And but at the same time, again, with so much pitching depth, if somebody is not pulling their weight, that they can maybe afford to send somebody down and make room for somebody else. So again, they're tough decisions, but it's not such a bad thing to have these tough decisions, because it's amazing with the amount of pitching depth that the Yankees have.
Yeah, and they're starting to figure out maybe that's how you start competing with the Dodgers a little bit, because the Dodgers got the hitting, but they, like I said, even 2 years ago, Joe, it's like, yeah, we had Soto against the Dodgers, but our pitching wasn't as good then. And like I said, did you notice that because they didn't re-sign Soto, they were able to rebuild their pitching with Max Fried, and that's happened this year too, where they're kind of back to being like 2024, except I think the pitching they have this year is better than that 2024 team that reached the World Series.
I agree.
So that could actually, challenge the Dodgers this year. You never know.
Sure.
Or anybody. Guess what? Anyway, if you were the manager, Joe, you would, and your two options were, what would you do? Would you go with a 6-man rotation, or send Weathers to the bullpen? And why would you, if so, why would you make that choice?
So if I don't have a 6-man starting rotation, would I have a 5?
Yes, and then Weathers would go to the bullpen.
Okay. I honestly think, and again, I'm just guessing, without knowing, as much as you do, or obviously as much as Yankee management does, I would go with a 5-man rotation, because I think a 5-man rotation still keeps these guys fresh enough, that they're pitching once every 5 days. But they're still not getting overused and tired. And again, you got a few of them just coming back here in the beginning of June that are, only pitching, 4 months instead of 6 months, regular season. So if it was me, I would go with the 5-man rotation, put Weathers in the bullpen there. And, again, with that depth, if something happens, or if somebody's ineffective, you can always make some changes. But I think the 6-man rotation just maybe spreads it a little bit too thin, and they don't get the reps that maybe they would need to stay fresh and everything. So, again, I don't get paid the big bucks to do this. I guess if I had to make a decision, just thinking about it now, I'd probably have the 5-man rotation, and I think that would work perfectly in that situation.
I agree too, because think about it. You're getting you're going to get a guy who already has starting experience off the bullpen, and he can throw 96 to 98. That'll give you another high leverage reliever that they need more. They need more depth in the bullpen, I think, and that can help.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. So let's turn it over to Joe one more time as we're going to celebrate some Mets highlights. So we can actually celebrate this week.
We certainly can, and a lot of good news to talk about here. Now, to wrap up the week here, the Mets went 6-1, so They won 6 out of 7, right? Games this week. I guess we can put that in there. This included a sweep of the Tigers at Citi Field. Not an easy task. I know the Tigers maybe not playing as well as people expect, but still, that's a task. And of course, winning 2 out of 3 against a potential World Series type team here. Talk about a great way to get on track. The Mets played the Yankees tough, and they beat them 2 out of 3. So, definitely reason for optimism there. Now, the Mets, their big problem is that they weren't scoring. And now, all of a sudden, 7 games they played here, they scored 53 runs in these 7 games. So if my math is right, that's about 7.5 runs a game this past week, and a couple of double-digit victories as well. Not only that, but they only gave up 29 runs, which is like 4. So you're outscoring your opponents here by an average of 7.5 to 4 throughout this week. You outscore opponents by that margin, you're going to win most of your games. And again, the Mets won 6 out of 7. Again, against quality opponents too. One of which is playing well, the Yankees. Now, I was talking about again these young guys and this youth and energy infusion here. But the thing is, the Mets are hitting the ball well and hitting the ball hard. Now, again, I'm getting into these stats, still learning. You know me, I'm a stats guy, and I've always ignored the StatCast, but I really got into it this year. And this week's StatCast king, if you could put it there, is Brett Baty. Now, talking about this, a barrel percentage of 22.2, which is significantly above average, a hard hit rate of 61%. He had an exit velocity is highlighted at 111.7. Now, if you want to translate this into normal stats that casual fans would know here, let's just talk about this. 2 home runs, 7 RBIs this week, and an OPS of 1032. Okay, so he is smacking the ball. Now, we know Brett Baty is streaky. We know he has weeks like this and then turns around and has a week where he can't hit a beach ball. But hopefully he can, continue this. Now, he's one of those that, again, that's benefited from this youth infusion here, I think. Now, Mark Vientos has been hitting the ball very well the last few weeks, but I was talking to you before about how, some of these expected stats show that these players are hitting the ball well and just not getting results. And Mark Vientos is one of those players. Now, he's got a 54% hard hit rate. And here's this. Now, based on the way he's hitting the ball, a 15.4 barrel percentage, which again, that means you're hitting the ball on the sweet spot. You're hitting the ball hard. And again, get high percentages with that. Now, his slugging percentage over the last few days was 367. Okay. But they're saying that based on his contact and all that, and the way he's hitting the ball, it should be 613. So that's almost double than what his slugging percentage actually is. So what that tells me is he's not getting the luck that he should have. He's hitting the ball really hard. And again, that balances out. So look out for Mark Vientos in the next few weeks. And it was balancing out, a couple of weeks before. Now, he still had a home run and 5 RBIs. A 367 slugging percentage is decent. But I think you may see more production out of him as time goes on here in the near future. Now, Bo Bichette, he's got off to a slow start. He's in the same boat. He had a 333 slugging percentage this week with a home run and 4 RBIs. But they're saying based on the way he's hitting the ball, it should be like 504. So, and again, not quite maybe getting the results that he should, but that's a great sign. It means he's hitting the ball hard and things like that will balance out. Another thing too is he's doing very well, Bo Bichette, of hitting the ball powerfully to the opposite field. He's really, kind of made a focus to do that. And that's certainly helping him hit the ball well too. Marcus Semien, another one. His slugging percentage was 379 this week, and they're saying it should be like 467 based on the way he was hitting the ball. Now, let's look at the normal stats here. Juan Soto, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, a 1073 OPS. In fact, he led the team in OPS this past week. So Juan Soto, he had a rough week last week after a great week the week before. So kind of going back and forth here, but Juan Soto certainly hitting the ball very well. Carson Benj, I mentioned him, how he's been doing well. He had 5 RBIs this week, a 414 just old-fashioned batting average, and a 935 OPS. So certainly Carson Benj continues to play well. And again, this all-rookie outfield infusing that energy. Now let's look at the Mets pitching a little bit here, and some reasons for optimism. David Peterson got off to a horrible start this year, and he's been gradually getting better here. Nothing too earth-shattering, including this week he pitched a 4-inning game, gave up 2 earned runs and 6 hits, which isn't exactly impressive, but he did have 8 strikeouts. So his stuff seems to be improving there, and hopefully that can help him get some of these other numbers down in shape. Now, Nolan McLean, our Rookie of the Year candidate here, continues to excel. 7 innings pitched, so a quality start there. Gave up 3 earned runs, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, decent stats there. Now, the Mets are getting some very good relief here. Oscar Brazoban, who's been great all year. Luke Weaver's been great for most of the year. He had a couple of bad weeks. Now, I put their stats together because it's basically a 9-inning sample here. So put Brazoban's stats and Luke Weaver's stats together, and here's what you got this week. 9 2/3 innings, 4 hits allowed, no earned runs allowed, 10 strikeouts in those 9 2/3. Each pitcher had 5. So great middle relief here for those guys. Devin Williams pitched 3 hitless innings this week. Got a save, I believe. Austin Warren pitched 3 2/3 over the week. Only 1 hit given up in those 3 2/3 innings. So certainly reason for optimism there. And again, all year long, they've been getting this kind of pitching, especially in the bullpen. Pitching has not been the problem for this team. Now, here's another thing as far as what's expected and what's there, okay? Because, with the team, they currently have a 21-26 record, the Mets, okay? But after a week like this and the excellent run differential they had, their overall run differential for the season is only -7. So when you look at the thing it's called Pythagorean expectation, I don't know what it is, expected record, okay? It's saying that based on that and based on some of the other stats, the Mets should be more like 23-24, right around 500. So, yeah, and they're 21-26. But again, you start looking at 500 after the awful start that they got off to, and that's not such a bad thing. And again, we're still only a quarter of the way through the season here. So if things keep going the way they're going, then maybe this god-awful start that the Mets got off to is not so bad after all. Again, they're saying that the Mets should have a better record than they actually have. So they have some chances to increase that even more. They're playing the Washington Nationals through Thursday, so a game going on tonight. They're going back and forth. Last I looked, it was like 4-3 Mets, I believe. They went to extra innings last night, and then the Mets scored 10 runs in the 10th inning or 11th inning, one of those innings. So again, they're playing against the Nats. Again, a pesky opponent, but a beatable one. And then Miami over the weekend. Again, Miami, not a bad team here. But if the Mets can take 2 out of 3 in that series, then certainly they can get themselves in even better position. And then starting early next week, they go back home to Citi Field, a 3-game series against the Reds. And the Reds, again, with a decent record. They're one of those teams, though, that the stats say are not as good as their record. So, again, the 2 out of 3. Let's do 2 out of 3 as we go along here, and they can certainly make up some ground and get back to where they need to be. And if they keep hitting the ball the way they have been hitting the ball, I mean, the runs show right? What did I say that they scored 50 something runs in, in 7 games? What did I say here? I lost my stats, but definitely the stats show 53 runs in 7 games. So again, those StatCast stats and hard hit rates are showing that they're getting results from that. And if they can keep doing that, they can get right back in this race. So definitely reason for optimism now for the Mets. And again, I'll say this one more time, and I'm going to send it back to you. It's not about wins and losses to me. It's about playing with heart and playing the game the right way. And again, with these new players coming in here, I think they're doing that. And not only that, but you were talking about some Yankees that are potentially losing their spots and who's going to take over at certain positions. If these guys keep playing, these young players keep playing the way they are, you got to keep playing them. All right. Guys like Robert and Polanco are ready to come back, but these guys are still producing like they are. I'm sorry. David Stern is worried about, okay, you're going to lose money and you paid a lot of money for these guys. So what? Get the guys in there.
Competition, and it pushes those veterans to make them better, and they get to push the rookies, and it brings out it makes you bring out the best in your team. Like, that's competition, Joe.
That's totally right. And that's a good thing for this team. And again, just to add some heart. And that's all I want to see. And this week, anyway, it got results, and it got amazing results. So let's see if it can keep doing that. And again, sometimes players play well when they first come up, and then reality hits, and then pitchers figure them out, and they watch film on them. And, there's an inevitable slumps that are coming too. We know that. But it'll be interesting to see how long these young players can continue to do that. And then, if a player does slump like that, then maybe some of these players do come back and you get them back. And again, they know that if they don't produce, that, their time could be limited. So going to be very interesting to see.
And Joe, like what the Mets have, I think that's a rarity. You don't usually get a team that has a combination of the highest payroll in baseball, but also has a lot of good prospects down on the farm that are getting called up. You don't get that combination too often. Right.
And I love to see when the low paid, young guys, do the producing here, and make a difference like they are right now. And again, some of them, they say they're very good defensively too. And they have speed and spark. And that's exactly what this team needs right now.
It's kind of like my Yankees. They have a $300 or $400 million payroll, but they also got underpaid young guys like George Lombard Jr. and Spencer Jones, who just got called up, and Dominguez when he comes back, and all these young pitchers. So, they've got kind of that too.
That's right. Yeah, they totally have it.
Yeah. That used to kind of not be a combo, but it is now, which is cool to see.
Yes.
Yeah. I think ABS has a lot to do with that, but we'll see. Because in AAA, they're learning how to do that in the minors now before they get to the MLB. I think that's part of the reason too.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Joe, I know you brought this up earlier, but I have to rehash it because I wrote this. Yankees Spencer Jones hit a ball so hard it broke a Mets pitcher's leg. I'm sorry, I have to say my part of it because you already did, but
yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was Spencer Jones.
Wait, are you done talking or?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I meant to send it back to you, and yeah, I'm going to do that. I didn't realize it was Spencer Jones that did it.
It was. When Spencer Jones makes contact with the ball, he also hits it with tremendous power. The 6'7" rookie is often compared to Aaron Judge in that he's a tall player with a big swing. I think you can make that comparison.
Yeah, I agree.
Last Friday night, Jones was hitting against Mets righty and former Yankee bullpen Clay Holmes, and he hammered the ball up the middle. It nailed Holmes's leg. Jones reached when the deflection couldn't be fielded in time to get him out. It goes in the books as a single for Jones, but bad news for the Mets as Holmes has a fractured fibula or a broken leg. So, Joe, how many times in an MLB game does this situation like this happen? I don't think this has ever happened, ever.
Well, I'm surprised. It's funny because I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. I've seen guys get hit, and I've seen guys get hit in the head. I was watching a game live, and Chris Bassett got smacked with a line drive in the head. I've seen other guys get hit in places, and I've seen this before. Again, a ball hit that hard. I mean, it's crazy. But I'm honestly surprised you don't see it happen more. To be honest with you, I'm glad we don't, but I would expect to see it a little bit more.
And I'm going to actually get into that, Joe, because how concerned are you that, like I said, with exit velocity kind of being taught with all these prospects now, and they're coming in being tall or 5'9", but they can come in like and hit the ball already. Like I told you, George Lombard Jr. in high school had a 97 exit velo, which is amazing for high school. And in AA, he already had an exit velo of 113. So he hit the ball harder than Spencer Jones before he's even coming. How concerned are you with that being taught, that it's going to increase in the next few years, though, that more of these situations could happen? And because I also heard, what's also happening? The Paul O'Neill and the Yankees announcer said they've lowered the mound from 15 feet to 10 feet. So the pitchers are right closer to the batters. So what do you think they should do? They're talking about lowering it even more. And that's going to probably lead to even more, Spencer Jones, Clay Holmes. Do you think they should go back to raising it again because of the way these kids are being taught exit velocity now?
Yeah. Now, thinking about that, though, it's a two-sided coin. Now, yes, I think the likelihood of things like this happening increases because of how hard they're hitting the ball. And again, that's going to take away a pitcher's reaction time, too. When the guys are hitting at 111 miles an hour, a pitcher's not going to have as much time to react. So that's going to lead to more guys getting hit. The only thing is, though, that with this now, I would just leave the mound alone. I don't think they should have lowered it. And I mean, if they want to put it back up, great. I definitely am against lowering it more. But a lot of things, though, when these guys are hitting the ball so well and so hard, a lot of times they're pulling the ball. So it's not like they're always hitting it like smack up the middle. They're still tending to pull the ball probably more than ever. Because of, the barrel rates and the way they're taught, and they're taught power. So that, I think, is something to think about, too, is that they're pulling the ball even more than they ever did. But again, it's just getting a little more dangerous because if you do hit one up the middle that fast, the pitcher's just not going to be able to react as fast, and more likely to get hit and more likely to get, injured worse because of this. I mean, again, I can count on one hand probably the number of times I've seen a pitcher break a leg by getting hit by a ball while pitching on the mound. So again, will that increase a little bit? I think so. And it's something to keep an eye on.
Yep. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026? Tell everybody where they can get a hold of you. Is that
all right? They could see me on Twitter X, putting my 2 cents in about stuff like that. Of course, this show here, sometimes on other shows on our network here too, which I hope to get back to very soon.
And you guys can find me, yours truly, on Bills Chat 1 at Bills Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X, Buffalo Down, and thefortball.com, where I write about all sports. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell for all notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Productions, Please visit us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, wherever you get your podcast. For Joe Dalio, I'm Jamie Malloy, and we'll see you next week on the Subway Conversation Chat only on Driving to the Top Productions. Good night, everybody.
Have an excellent week.